Welcome to Half 2-4. Today in the issue, Manchester United puts out the door at once several stars. And where exactly moves Sandro Tonali almost for 100 million euros? Also today, squad catastrophe in the national team of England. Thomas Tuchel unhooked the legend through FaceTime, and the blacklist of Zhohzay Mourinho. Why in the dressing room of Madrid, Real flared up a serious riot. About all this and much other we speak right now.
So far, a great day.
Italian winger of Liverpool, Federico Chiesa, accepted the final decision regarding his future on Anfield. Despite a heap of rumors in the media about a possible return to the homeland, the 28-year-old football player is disposed extremely resolutely and is going iron concrete to fight for his place under the sun. Chiesa does not have any plans to return to Serie A. Let us remind that the substantive interest in the Italian showed his former club, Turin Juventus, and also ambitious Como, which under leadership of Cesc Fabregas prepares for the start in the Champions League. Process Federico decided to reject all these proposals. The main factor for the player became the appointment of the new manager of the Merseysiders, Andoni Iraola. Chiesa considers the arrival of the Basque specialist as an ideal chance to start everything from a clean sheet after an ambiguous period in England. The Italian sincerely believes that the signature, intensive, and aggressive style of play of Iraola, best of all, fits under his main strong sides, crazy speed and skill to sharpen on the flanks, taking into account that Mohamed Salah already left the team and the fate of other attacking positions remains under question. For Chiesa, this indeed is the best moment to prove his professional competence. Write in the comments whether you believe that Iraola will be able to resuscitate the career of the Italian on Anfield. In Manchester United started a massive preseason rebuilding under leadership of Michael Carrick. The bosses of the Mancunians prepare a serious cleaning of the squad and already aimed at a new star of European football. Firstly, officially, Marcus Rashford returns to Old Trafford. The term of action of the option of buyout for 30 million euros for Catalonian Barcelona officially ended. The Catalans banally did not pull this transfer, especially after that how banged 80 million euros for Anthony Gordon. Rashford formally returns to the base in Carrington. Process the situation remains suspended. Barcelona all still dreams to save the Englishman, but exclusively in the format of a new loan. The leadership of Manchester United on such an adventure to go does not want and considers only a full-fledged sale. On Rashford acts a fixed clause in the size of £40 million for all foreign clubs, but the main obstacle is his sky-high salary over £300,000 per week. With that same problem, United collided enduring attempts to sell Andre Onana, who returned from loan in Trabzonspor. Secondly, Michael Carrick gave a clear signal that more does not count on Manuel Ugarte and Joshua Zirkzee. Both performers had critically little playing time at the end of the season. Therefore, the Red Devils are officially open to any serious financial proposals regarding their sale. Besides that, the club finally left as a free agent winger Jadon Sancho, who can return to Dortmund Borussia. And here on the background of this grandiose cleaning, David Ornstein exploded with a loud exclusive. Manchester United made an inquiry regarding the left winger of London West Ham and the national team of Netherlands, Crescencio Somerville. The 24-year-old Dutchman right now arranges a real fire hype at the World Championship, having scored a masterly goal into the gates of Japan. Even the relegation of West Ham from the Premier League in no way spoiled his reputation. The bosses of the Hammers demand for their leader around £50 million. Parallel United leads very successful negotiations with agent Jorge Mendes regarding another star of West Ham, 21-year-old midfielder Matteo Fernandez, who is the priority for the center of the field. The Hammers want for him crazy £80 million. Therefore, MU tries to knock down the price and parallel considers the candidacies of Alex Scott from Bournemouth and Sander Berge from Fulham. Well, and the first official summer newcomer already next month will become Brazilian Ederson from Atalanta, for whom completely agreed the transfer package for 45 million euros. The project of Carrick begins to acquire very powerful shapes. Around the Italian midfielder Sandro Tonali unfolds one of the hottest and most expensive transfer sagas of this summer. Because of serious financial pressure and non-exit to European Cups, the leadership of Newcastle United is forced to put their leaders on the shop window, and Tonali instantly became a tasty piece for the leading clubs of the English Premier League. Authoritative British publications already dug up all backstages of this grandiose London casting. The main initiator and driver of this deal from the side of Tottenham Hotspur is the head coach of the team, Roberto De Zerbi. After the heroic rescue of Tottenham, the Italian specialist received from leadership of the Spurs an unprecedented level of trust and practically full carte blanche. More of that, as reports authoritative portal Team Talk, in the camp of the Spurs, now reigns absolute confidence in that they will be able to close this transfer and win the competition from Arsenal and Manchester City. If De Zerbi insists, the bosses of the Londoners will break into a flat cake, but will buy him the compatriot, since Roberto sees in Tonali an ideal tactical foundation for construction of his new ambitious project. The press notes, that itself, Sandro, very positively relates to the idea to work under leadership of De Zerbi and entirely is open to moving to the capital. Process the Spurs will have to withstand the competition. Firstly, in the race takes part Arsenal. According to information of the publication Football London, the Gunners led an active dialogue regarding the Italians still in January. A big plus for Mikel Arteta is that the player himself passionately desires to perform in the Champions League. Arsenal has a huge transfer budget for this campaign. Process regarding Tonali, they had serious doubts. The bosses of the club banally hesitate whether it is worth to lay out crazy money for the performer, who by his functions almost completely duplicates Declan Rice. Secondly, the situation thoroughly monitors Manchester City. Enzo Maresca considers the midfielder of the national team of Italy purely as a backup option. Tonali will move to the Etihad only in that case if the leadership does not succeed to sign its main transfer, target Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. And here, the Mancunians from Manchester United from this battle officially dropped out in the press, confirmed that the Red Devils rolled up negotiations, considering the financial requests of the Magpies absolutely inadequate. And right here we pass to the main to figures and the real chance for the Spurs. Although the head coach of the Magpies, Eddie Howe, dreams to leave Sandro in the team and initially demanded for him £100 million sterling, financial pressure forces buyers to look for compromises. It is reported that Newcastle is ready to lower appetites and agree to a proposal in the size of £86 million sterling, which equals approximately to 100 million euros. While Arsenal occupies a tough position and refuses to pay more than £60 million sterling, and City focuses on other goals, Tottenham is ready to lay out these £86 million sterling. Thanks to endless trust to De Zerbi, the Spurs are disposed to act resolutely and take the Italian to themselves. London Tottenham Hotspur finally broke off the chain on the transfer market. After loud news about Sandro Tonali, it became known that the bosses of the Londoners prepare for Roberto De Zerbi, an unprecedented reinforcement, having deployed a hunt for 3 top performers of world level. The first explosive news, Tottenham turned into the fight for the stellar 26-year-old Serbian forward Dusan Vlahovic. What is most interesting, the elite forward will get to the new club absolutely for free on the rights of a free agent, because his contract with Juventus finishes already on the 30th of June. Negotiations with the Turinese failed because of unwillingness of the player to go for a substantial lowering of his record for Serie A salary, which constituted 12 million euros clean. Roberto De Zerbi, who received total carte blanche after rescue of the Spurs from relegation, sees in the powerful Serb an ideal tip for his renewed attacking system. Dusan Vlahovic asks entirely adequate for the EPL, £150,000 sterling per week, which equals around £8 million sterling per year. Process the leadership of the Londoners will have to fork out for solid sign-on fees to agents and withstand a crazy competition from the side of Chelsea, Bayern, and Barcelona. But on free Vlahovic, the appetites of the club do not end. Parallel, Tottenham prepares a grandiose purchase. The main pearl of this hunt must become the Brazilian winger of Manchester City, Savinho. The 22-year-old player did not receive enough practice on the Etihad, and now the citizens officially approved his transfer. Both clubs gave green light, and the football player himself already agreed to moving to North London. The leadership of Manchester City is ready to let go the Brazilian if receives a proposal in the size of £60 million sterling. By the third big deal for Spurs becomes the signing of the central defender of Brighton, Jan-Paul van Hecke, and here Fabrizio Romano already succeeded to shout his signature, "Here we go." The clubs completely closed negotiations and officially hit on hands. The transition of the 26-year-old Dutch defender will cost to the Londoners in £52 million sterling. The player himself agreed all conditions of personal contracts still last week, so the transfer is completed on 100%. David Ornstein adds that the case of Luka Vuskovic goes by a separate canon. Therefore, the moving of Van Hecke to 𝗙𝗟 is an absolutely decided question. Taking into account that defenders Andy Robertson and Marco Senesi already officially transitioned to the camp of the Londoners for free, 𝗙𝗟 collects in the capital a real gang under big European Cup ambitions. In Madrid, Real Zhohzay Mourinho arranges a capital shaking of the squad and builds a new defensive line. We published the full list of players whom the special craves immediately to get rid of, and also named the priority transfer targets of the Madrid team. Process to start is worth from positive. The Royal Club closed the question regarding the future of one of its main chiefs of defense. Defender Antonio Rudiger signed a new deal with the Madrid team. The current contract of the 33-year-old German finished at the end of this month, but the parties successfully put signatures under the agreement until June 2027. Rudiger wanted to receive a 2-year extension, but eventually agreed to the traditional internal policy of the club, which foresees prolongation for veterans older than 30 years purely for one season. This deal completely approved Zhohzay Mourinho, who considers the German as an iron concrete foundation of his defensive line on the background of the departure of Dani Carvajal and David Alaba. And here further begins the hot blacklist of the Portuguese coach. Zhohzay Mourinho clearly gave to understand to leadership that in the team there is no place for 4 performers. This is Raul Asensio, Ferland Mendy, Fran Garcia, and Dani Ceballos. Because of this, inside the dressing room already flared up a serious riot. Mendy and young Asensio categorically refused to go and declare about desire to remain in Madrid. Especially tense situation is with Dani Ceballos. The 29-year-old midfielder firmly decided to change the team, but demands to let him go for free on the rights of a free agent. The bosses of Real from such an idea are not in delight. They want to gain for the halfback solid money and blocked this feint. Even more, Zhohzay Mourinho took off the status of untouchable, even from Eduardo Camavinga, because of what the club is ready to listen to proposals regarding the Frenchman. Process the entourage of Camavinga already answered to the press that his summer departure simply is impossible. All this grandiose cleaning is needed for Madrid for vacation of the salary sheet and places in the squad, since the Whites planned a massive purchase. Zhohzay Mourinho demands to sign one top elite midfielder of creative plan. Now the club chooses between Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea for £120 million sterling and the Dutch talent Kees Smit for €60 million. Parallel scouts formed a short list from 3 superstar central defenders to find the ideal partner for Rudiger. Zhohzay Mourinho craves to see in the team someone from the trio. Ruben Dias from Manchester City, Nico Schlotterbeck from Dortmund, Borussia, or Alessandro Bastoni from Milan Inter. Taking into account that Konate also transitions for free, the defensive line of the Royal Club can become quite saturated with crazy competition. Madrid Atletico decided to arrange its own loud hunt on the left flank of defense. Known Italian insider Matteo Moretto shared exclusive details. The mattress makers started active negotiations regarding the transfer of the stellar 30-year-old defender of Bayer Aleandro Grimaldo. The bosses of Atletico are forced to act quickly because their main summer transfer plan completely failed. Let us remind that the Madrid team passionately wanted to sign the left defender of Chelsea, Marc Cucurella. Processed their most bitter enemy, Madrid. Real intercepted the player. After this painful financial blow, Diego Simeone switched attention to Grimaldo, whose position in Leverkusen just became unstable. After the 6th place in the Bundesliga and loss of the ticket to the Champions League, Bayern started a massive rebuilding, and Alejandro himself never hid his huge desire to return to the homeland in La Liga. The situation for the Madrid team shapes up best of all in the plan of finances. The contract of the Spaniard with the German club is calculated until June 2027, and this means that for the pharmacists, the current summer, this is the last real possibility to receive for their leader at least some money, to not lose him in a year for free. The leadership of the German giant put out entirely adequate price tag and wants to gain for the 30-year-old defender from 10 to 13 million euros. For such a ridiculous sum, Atletico will receive an incredibly experienced performer who in the season before last registered crazy 14 goals and 14 assists. While on the position of the left defender at Simeone, there is only one nominal performer, Matteo Moretto. The transfer of Grimaldo looks as an ideal solution of the squad problem. In the camp of the national team of England, in counted days before the start at the World Championship, flared up a real squad catastrophe. Right defender of Newcastle, Tino Livramento, received a severe injury of the popliteal tendon, which completely crossed him out from the lists of participants of the main football holiday. For the head coach of the Three Lions, Thomas Tuchel, this is a colossal blow, because on the right flank of defense before the game with Croatia formed a deficit. Kyle Walker finished his international career still in spring. Reece James only just healed another injury and finds himself far not in optimal conditions. And Trent Alexander-Arnold, the German specialist, consistently ignored during the whole year. It would seem, in such a crisis situation, Tuchel simply is obliged to dial the number of Trent and urgently return him to the team. But the German adopted a principled decision. The star of Madrid Real remains at home and to the Mundial does not go. British media already explain the logic of this step of Tuchel. Firstly, this is a purely tactical choice. When the coach announced the final squad from 26 football players, he personally phoned Trent and explained that for his playing model are needed more athletic and disciplined flank defenders with clear defensive functions, such as that same Jed Spence. Trent into the frames of a pure defender does not fit. Secondly, Alexander-Arnold conducted a very blurred debut season in Real after transfer from Liverpool. Constant problems with stability and injuries led to that he played only 21 matches in La Liga. To call up a player without proper tonus directly before the start of the World Championship, Tuchel considers an unjustified risk. Instead of the injured Livramento to the camp of the national team of England, urgently called up the 26-year-old defender of Chelsea, Trevoh Chalobah, who gave a good season for the Blues. Chalobah is capable to close as the center of defense, so the right flank, what will give to Tuchel more options for maneuver. Now to close the wing, we'll have to Reece James, Ezri Konsa, or Jed Spence. And this emergency replacement of Trevoh Chalobah instead of the flank defender again lifted to the surface, another loud backstage drama in the camp of the Englishman. Experienced 33-year-old defender of Manchester United, Harry Maguire, just frankly told about an extremely strange and uncomfortable video call from Thomas Tuchel, who sent him a black mark before the Mundial. Maguire confessed that the decision of the German specialist to leave him behind the board of the final squad became for him an absolute shock. Harry very powerfully conducted the ending of the club season under leadership of Michael Carrick, returned Manchester United to the Champions League, and during the March camp played on top level in both encounters. Process Tuchel decided to make a bet on other defenders. The method itself, by which the coach informed the player this cruel news, turned out to be highly specific. On the air of a popular podcast, Maguire disclosed all details. Tuchel decided to phone each football player through FaceTime. This was a very awkward conversation. To me came a message with a question, whether I can come out to connection at 4 o'clock of the evening. To see such a decision by video connection, this is a unique experience, and to the coach, probably was not easy, because he with his own eyes saw the despair of everyone whom he sifted out. I immediately said, that crazily am disappointed. Was confident that did enough for the trip and could help the team as on the field. So in the dressing room, Thomas did not become to look for some excuses, but simply answered that trusted those 4 guys who pulled out for him the autumn matches. Despite such a strong blow to self-esteem, the defender of the Mancunians behaved like a professional, having supported the leaders of the national team before the start of the tournament. More of that, Maguire flatly refused to announce about completion of international career. The owner of 66 matches for the national team assured that will wait for his chance to the last. And looking at that, how swiftly the Englishmen now lose defenders because of injuries on the eve of the first round, it is not excluded that the infirmary of the team yet will replenish. And Harry, after all, will receive his emergency call-up to the USA. For now, though, Maguire plans to rest to, in full combat readiness, storm into the new season of the Champions League. Write in the comments whether Tuchel is right that once more ignored Trent, and whether fairly he acted with Maguire, having unhooked him from the trip to the World Championship.